Yo, what's good, fam? Today I just wanted to talk about some things about Dead by Daylight. I don't really know, there's not really a direction for this video. I just want to go over some things, I guess, that I don't really like with the game, like some balancing issues and some things I think behavior needs to focus on a little bit or not focus on a little bit or just keep in mind. And this is just me brainstorming. I haven't really completely thought this video through, so take it with a grain of salt and make sure you subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 subs for the end of the year, and just enjoy the video. First thing I'm going to talk about is maps, because I feel like maps might be one of the main factors in what might kill Dead by Daylight. Because let's look at R6. R6 was a game I used to play a lot, and one of the reasons why that game has been dying is because instead of fixing the bad maps they have, they release more maps that aren't good, and they just keep releasing maps after maps after maps and leaving the other ones. So a lot of the maps in Rainbow Six Siege are just not fun to play on, and I don't want that to happen to Dead by Daylight. So I'm gonna look at just two maps and you tell me how you feel about it. First, let's look at Fractured Cowshed from Coldwind, because I think this is one of the most survivor-sided maps in the game. First, we're gonna look at the Cow Tree, which is a really good loop. It'll spawn here most of the time, or it'll be like a crane thing, but majority of the time it will be the Cow Tree. And if we pull up right behind it, there is a really good pallet that's lined up perfectly right behind it, and then you go a little bit further, you have a full jungle gym. These pallets and windows are amazing, and right next to it is a long wall pallet leading directly into this really strong window that's in the main building. And if you look directly to the left, there's another pallet, but if you go straight, there's another really good window that the killer has to break the breakable walls to even play around, with another pallet right here on the outside perfectly lined up. Like, bro, come on. And then you keep going forward, there is another one of these really good jungle gyms. They are like my favorite things to loop in the whole game. They are really good, they're really strong. And if you keep going, there's gonna be a blue tank, and there's gonna be a pallet here like 99% of the time. I'm pretty sure it's not there all the time, but it will be there. And if you go to the back corner to this gen that's almost undefendable, there are two pallets that are guaranteed to spawn here every single time you get this map. These two pallets that are near each other are always gonna spawn no matter what when you're on this map. And that's the thing about this map, all the pallets aren't really that safe. It's just the fact that they're all perfectly chained up. So if you're going against a survivor who has a week of experience, they will easily chain all these loops together and you won't be able to catch them. And moving away from the corner right there, they make this pallet jungle gym that's almost right next to it, and it is a 50-50 a pallet will spawn here. Luckily it didn't. And right next to it in this corner will always be Shack. We all know how strong Shack is, always one of the greatest loops in the game. And branching off of Shack, we have another tile. It's either a jungle gym or LT walls. Right now it's a LT wall. LT walls are kind of hit or miss. It depends on who you're playing against. We keep going forward, and there is a blue tank back here. There will almost always be a pallet back here. From my experience, there always is. And we keep going forward away from it, and this is the jungle gym back at the beginning of the game. So you can see how everything in this map could just be chained loop into one another. And just to show you guys that the map is busted and I didn't just get lucky with all these safe pallets, look, we have everything in main building, like I said, leading to that pallet, to this jungle gym, to that jungle gym, the two pallets in the back that always spawn there. This jungle gym leads directly where this pallet spawns, like I told you last time, leading directly into Shack. Then we come over here, we get another LT wall. It's not a jungle gym this time. We go back to the back corner, and the blue tank with the pallet that's guaranteed to be there is still there, back at the beginning with this jungle gym. It's just broken. Here we are at the ward map for the Cronus Pen Asylum, and just take a look at these gens. Alright, there are two gens right here. These are the ones that are closest to each other out of the whole map, and the closest ones are over here. How are you supposed to defend these? The only way you can defend these is if you're Blight or you have a very consistent teleportation like Dredge. And I'm about to show you the most pallet dense map in the game, but let me talk to you about something. There are different levels to each pallet. There are unsafe pallets where they're really weak, you're gonna get hit even if you throw them down. There are really safe pallets, which means the killer might have to break them to get a hit, or they bloodlust you. And we have god pallets where the killer has to break the pallet in order to catch you. And obviously if you're playing somebody like Nurse or Pyramid Head, they don't even have to care about pallets, so I'm going to use her in this example. So just remember, I'm not talking about those two killers. We're going off basic M1 killer strategies, like let's just say you don't have a power or you're playing Trapper. We're going off of that. We have a safe pallet with a god pallet next to it, next to another pretty safe pallet, next to another pretty safe pallet, to a god pallet, to another safe pallet, to this god pallet. And right downstairs we have this safe pallet next to this pretty weak pallet. It's good at wasting the killer's time, but once they break it, you make no distance, so they can almost guarantee a hit there. And then we're back at a god pallet, which leads to this really safe pallet leading to a really fairly strong window with a weak pallet outside, 2 weak pallets outside, but it leads directly to another safe pallet, leading directly to another jungle gym with a safe pallet, and branching off the back of those are the 2 god pallets that always spawn near the bathroom. And of course it has to branch off to another god pallet behind, which leads to another god pallet, or the LT walls to the left. And heading back upstairs, we have a safe pallet right here leading to another safe pallet, which leads up to that window, which is the drop down to one of those safe pallets down below, leading to another pallet that's kind of weak, but it's good at wasting the killer's time. And these last 2 super strong windows in this back room here, with a good window on one of the loops too, which also leads back directly down to the bathroom where both of those god pallets were. So even more reason to play nurse nowadays. This next thing isn't really a reason, it's not really that serious, but I think we need another meta shakeup. These killers with all these general aggression perks is really not fun to go against at all. I've been in matches that have been 25 minutes long, almost 30 minutes, and hence made a video of keeping people in a match for a whole hour just by this killer, by using the knight and using general aggression perks. It's so dull and so boring, this gen kicking meta, but what do I know. The next quote-unquote problem I want to talk about is the big difference between the weak killers and the strong killers, and let me just do some comparisons of some killers if you don't mind. First, I'm going to compare Huntress and Demogorgon, arguably the 2 most balanced killers in Dead by Daylight. Obviously Huntress throws hatchets, a ranged attack, and right here I wind up my hatchet, so Yui has more than enough time to react to me throwing this hatchet. If she takes the window and I throw the hatchet, well, she gets hit. If she doesn't take the window and I throw the hatchet, she makes more distance because I wasted time throwing my hatchet. It's like a risk and a reward, and you can see it coming. It's reactable by both sides, and there's mind games and counterplay coming into the power. She ends up taking the window, so she gets hit. And look at this Nancy, she's trying to make this pallet. I throw a hatchet and I hit her. She decides to keep playing the pallet because it's a bot, so they're dog shit. And she throws down the pallet, so I'm able to get a hatchet right over and down her. But let's say she didn't throw down the pallet. When Huntress winds up a hatchet, she goes really slow while she winds it up and while she holds it, so she would have more than enough distance to run around the rock and keep me at that loop for a long time if I keep winding up my hatchet. That's the counterplay to Huntress. If she doesn't wind up, then you have to drop the pallet, but if she winds up and you just keep running, she's gonna have to keep playing this game of catch up with you. And Demogorgon's shred ability doesn't only let him jump at super fast speeds forward to injure survivors, it also shreds through pallets, so he's really good at breaking pallets. And as you might guess, if he misses, he gets stunned in place, so the survivors get rewarded for the killer making a mistake, like it should be. Right here I have Yoichi running to this window and I have my power ready. He knows I have my power ready. It's either he doesn't commit to the window and I don't commit to the window and I get a hit because I stopped him from taking it, but if he does commit and I put my power away, then he gets the window for free and I don't use my attack. But if he does take the window and I do use my attack, he gets hit. And you know what I mean, vice versa, you know how it goes. And then right here we have Bill, and if he drops this pallet while I have my power ready, which I do, and he saw me ready it, I break the pallet. If he greeds it and I use my power, I will hit him with my shred. If he greeds it, but I don't commit to my power, I put it away like I was faking it, he still makes distance and I don't get to try to jump towards him and get the hit. But if I fake my power, like I bring it up and I put it back away, and he thinks I'm gonna if he thinks I'm gonna commit to the pallet and break it and he doesn't drop it, he gets more distance because I faked my power, if that makes sense. You're probably wondering, where am I getting at with this comparison? Just give me a second, I will compare 2 more killers and then explain while I'm doing it all. The killers we're gonna compare is the Pig and good old buddy Fast Boy Blight. The Pig has a stealth ability which is horrible. It takes forever to crouch and to get up out of it, so it's almost useless. You're losing more ground than you're making if you regularly walk. And this gives her access to an ambush attack, but look how long it takes to load up. The fact that you have to crouch and then load it up to do that, and it's not even that fast, it's really not even worth it. It's not even worth that, like, 100% of the time. Then we got Blight, who runs over 200% the normal speed. He can do it 5 times right now. Got double speed add-ons, so he is literally unfucking reactable. And he can also break pallets with the rushes, and Pig can't. Pig has no way to break the pallets other than the regular break animation. You're probably wondering why I didn't bring up the fact that Pig has built-in slowdown into her kit, and that's because the chase is arguably the most important part of the game. If you can't get anybody in a chase, then you won't get a bear trap on him, so the slowdown doesn't even count if you can't get the downs. And she has RNG also built into her kit. That's another reason why I didn't bring it up. It's really RNG based, whereas Blight, it's skill based. It's not RNG based. Now just look at some of these things I have up on the screen. On the top left we have Blight. He is a super fast, so he's a super fun character to use. He has a chase oriented power that can also break pallets, so it's really good. The only bad sides I see with him is that his add-ons are too strong, and the survivors have very little counterplay, especially if he brings his strongest add-ons. That's the only problems I think Blight has, but he's super fun, so I don't see why people wouldn't play him. And then below him we have the Huntress. She has a chase-oriented power, which is reactable by both sides. There's also a counterplay in mind games coming from both sides, and she has good and great add-ons. So then again, why would you not play her? She's a super fun character, one of the coolest in the game. Like, come on. But then we have the Pig, who I have on the right, where her add-ons are kind of trash. Only good ones are some of her purples. Her iridescence kind of suck. Her power is RNG based. Her slowdown's RNG based, and it's not really good. You might not even get good value from it, because you might not get too many downs if you're going against really good survivors. Her stealth is terrible. It slows you down. It's just not good. She has a dash attack, but it takes way too long to activate the dash attack, and she has nothing to help her in chase, because if you try to use that dash attack in chase, the survivors will just run away from the loop and you'll be stuck there looking like a fucking bozo. So looking at the resume of all of these killers, which one would you rather play? Blight, Huntress, or Pig? Most of you is gonna say Huntress because she's not only easy to use, but she's fun to use. Blight is really good, second best killer in the game, but he is difficult to use, so I can see why people don't choose him. But why on earth would somebody choose Pig over them? Who would choose to play Pig over Huntress? Unless you really like the character, which I do, so don't come at me. I play Pig. But why on earth would people want to play Pig if she's so bad compared to these other killers like Huntress that are really balanced, really good, and really fun and easy to play? Why? So basically what I'm saying is nerf the Pig. Next thing I want to talk about is gameplay changes that could break the game, and what I'm thinking about here is base kit Unbreakable. They want to make Unbreakable base kit, but also make Mori's base kit, which I'm cool with Mori's being base kit, but I'm not sure about Unbreakable, and let me explain to you why. I am a survivor main one split and then a killer main the next split. I main both sides, and whenever I try to play killer, I don't usually play to win. I play to have fun, so I don't usually bring gen regression. I do lose a lot of games, but I do win quite a few because I like playing Blight and stuff, and I go for perfect games. Try to hook everybody twice, and then I try to kill them all. I play nice. I'm a nice killer, but not every killer wants to do that. A lot of killers play to win. Let's take this clip for example. This clown doesn't have anybody dead, and there's 2 gens left, and he has no gen regression perks. So he tunnels Yoichi out of the game to make it a 3v1. He has pressure, so his pressure was to tunnel the survivors. Or this clip for example, this Plague player, aka me, I slugged all 4 survivors because I needed pressure to kill them. I have 1 gen regression perk, which isn't all that good, and I want to win this game as fast as I can. So why wouldn't I slug? I get pressure by slugging, especially as Plague. Or the famous strategy of the face camping Bubba, because you pretty much can't save around this guy, so he gets pressure by camping the survivors, and that's how he's gonna end up winning this game, right? But let's say hypothetically we take one of those ways to get pressure away. More specifically, this Plague match where I select all 4 survivors, but they all 4 would be able to pick themselves up if base kit was Unbreakable. So therefore, even as Plague, one of the best sluggers, I couldn't rely on that. So killers will rely on camping, and killers will rely on tunneling to get pressure. They wouldn't rely on slugging because then again, Unbreakable is base kit. You can't slug anymore. And this is one good reason why I really trust Behavior. The fact that they didn't go through with this change already makes me happy. They're really thinking about it. But I'm not fully against the decision to make Unbreakable base kit, because when I play Survivor, I would also hate getting slugged on the ground for 4 minutes by every Oni and Plague and Twins, because they are really good at it. But at the same time, if I'm playing Killer and I can't rely on slugging as a source of, you know what I mean, what's the word? Pressure. I don't know how I forgot the word. A source of pressure, and have to rely on camping and tunneling. Both sides are just not gonna have fun. And that's not mentioning the reason about items being too strong and killers with certain add-ons being too strong, but I'm not gonna talk about that because Darva already been talked about it. I might have the video in the description if you want to check it out. But take everything I say with a grain of salt. Dead by Daylight is not, you know, quote unquote dying anytime soon. It's still gonna be the biggest asymmetrical game for a while. I just hope you understand the points I went over in this video. It's kind of just, I don't know, it's a video I just thought about making, so I just made it. The next video I'll go back to my regular content, but better because I'm taking more time on my videos. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200 subs before the end of the year. It's gonna be really hard, but I bet we can do it. And Do I have anything else to say? My cousin cooks a mean steak.
It started when we were younger.